All right, my friends, here we go. Uh, Mild apologies. I kind of screwed up yesterday. Oh, wrong day here. And I did not, I did not do the grad show yesterday. So that is why I'm doing it all today, which is going to be a marathon show. I promised myself I'm going to take a break now and then so my eyes don't die. I'm hoping several people don't have games. Lots of laughs, so I don't have to. We got 26 people. In my experience, that's a lot of time. Let's start from the bottom. We got Sparkly Sprinkles. I've enjoyed playing chess more, but I found it thinking hard. Okay, here's Sparkly Sprinkles. Oh, Cove Bob, dude. Oh, this is really cool. So this is Cove Bob's kid. Okay, this is great, dude. We got this is what we call a dojo family. I didn't know. I've heard the name Cove Bob, but I haven't heard Bobkov. Hi, Alex Gustafsson. All right, so I want to know how old Sparkly is. In general, I want the site to be very friendly towards kids too. And he's doing great. Look at this. He's done this tactics test stuff. He failed miserably here, but here he did good. You know, so this is really good. 323 makes sense. Has been focusing on his tactics. And now, key question: will the kid have done? Look at this. He's in all these. He's in all these clubs. Will he have done an annotation? He's done an annotation, dude. There we go. 18 moves against Joseph K. Let's go give it a look. First time graph. All right, here we go. Now, the first thing we want to say is Sparkly Sprinkles thought. His opponent was not thinking. And so already one of the 3 challenges to getting out of the 1,000 cohorts, is learning to take your time. And Sparkly Sprinkles, at least in this game, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so he says he got in a pickle because of time pressure. I'm telling you, kid's got future. So far, everything is fine. And now D4, which he calls a mistake. Okay. Yeah, because he can take on E4. All right, good annotation. I don't know if bishop B2 is actually a mistake. Let's give you a pass on that one. I think that's okay. What's cool is you're developing your coconuts. And I think black should have played E4 there. Okay. Castles. Now, so despite the fact here that you don't have a pawn, you don't have a pawn, you do have some nice development. I want to point out, if you wanted to, I don't know if you want to, but if you consider this kind of thing. All right. Okay, this one I don't like. Now he can move the rook and starts to kick my queen around. Good, well said. So you need to go to like D3 or something. Okay. Here we're getting a little frisky. Look what he writes. I hung my coconut on B7 is what he says. He hung his coconut, dude. All right. I don't know. Very spicy game. He says he didn't trade queens because he didn't want to worry about king and rook mate. Wait a second. So you didn't trade the queens because you're worried you don't know how to mate him, bud? The king and the rook? Now, by the way, you're doing fine here. You're doing absolutely fine. The main problem with your move, queen d5, you can play queen c6 if you don't want to trade queens, is now he pops you. And I think his knight wants to go there, a little stronger there. Queen d2. No, I don't know about queen b8. I don't know what is that doing. Okay. Okay. And then black wins. Well, the game ends there. So obviously the game continued. Or maybe he lost on time or something. I don't know. But that was a very good. So let me just say, back up a second. at the dojo, we were concerned at the very beginning. Like, we knew that people needed to annotate their games, but when we imagined people, just beginners, annotating their games, we were like, is it really going to happen? And as Sprinkles here has shown, it's happening. So even though this game isn't finished, he's got a little time pressure signature here. Even though it's not finished, that's a great annotation. And there he is, our first graduation already. You know what? My camera, I just noticed, is all over the place. Kraai, fix that camera, dude. All right. Yeah. So anyways, learn the king and rook checkmate. Learn the king and rook. All right, here we go. Let's go back, actually, and let's actually look for training plan, and then we want to look, we'll go full training plan, we go end game. So this is, what does he have to learn next? He just needs to do the queen again. Interesting, right? So it's not, we don't have you doing the rook yet. This is what we have you doing first. And it's important. You can't be stalemating. You can't be stalemating. Okay, so next up is JDW. Doesn't say much. Let's see what they say. It's not like I'm definitely not doubting you now that we have a question why you got doubting the lower cohorts. It's just at the beginning. Also, honestly, it's the higher rated players that aren't doing it. They're too proud. Okay, this is JDW. Looks like they just started recently. He's got a monster scores on the Puzzle Rush. Already graduated a couple of times, even though recent. And he is in the wrong cohort here. So we just want to say, get yourself in the right cohort, JDW. And I think what I'll do is, since you're going to graduate again, I'll cover this game in the next time, because right now you're in the wrong cohort. So that's 672. All right. But graduate yourself again. I'll definitely look at one of your games. Next up, we have Ben C. Dawkins. Recently, I feel like I was looking at Ben here. During this cohort, I decided to change my mindset about chess improvement for at least a little while. I'm not going to think about rating goals and big future wishes for my chess. For now, I'm setting goals related to process. I learn best when I have as full an understanding of concepts as possible. So when I went on a deep dive with tactics concepts, I'm finding that I'm starting to understand how tactics arise from positions, and I'm getting better at setting up short combinations. Another added benefit of getting more familiar with concepts is that it's making studying chess easier and more enjoyable. I want to practice my scales every day. Note, I'm doing my analysis on a Boomer GM notebook. So I'm transferring that material to the database, so there will be something to review for this graduation show. Beautiful. I've successfully connected with some dojo people this time around, which is great. During my last graduation, I mentioned wanting an easier way to get connected with sparring partners, short of just sending out a bunch of Discord messages. It seems like Sensei Jesse wasn't too much into matchmaking, though, so a follow-up. Would it be possible to just have a click box on my dojo profile that says looking for a sparring partner? Maybe all that would do is put a flag on the scoreboard and let others know that this is someone who would welcome a Discord contact. I tried to set up calendar times a couple months back, but I found it difficult to use and didn't get any takers anyway. That said, I love the dojo. It is the best $100 I've spent on chess, and I plan to be here for years. Beautiful. You know what I'm going to do, actually? I think if it was just on your profile, people wouldn't necessarily find it. But maybe what we could do, you just, it's like somehow a list of people ready to spar, you know? Now the problem is, where would we put that? Whenever I have an idea like that, then the dev people are like, well, where does it go, Kraai? I don't really know yet. But there could be a number of places to put it. And so that way, let's say you're in the 300, 400 cohort, and you want to find someone to spar with, or you're 400, 500 as you are now, and you had put your name on the list, then that would pop up as a list of people to spar. Like let's say you had said, I want to do endgames, and then when that person went to the endgame algorithm page, it would automatically show people in the current cohort who are ready to spar. So I like that idea. Okay, let's go. I'm going to tell our dev team about that later. Whoa, man, look at that. Excuse me. We're gonna zoom out here. This is the heat map. Dang. That's what we call work. Look at that. So 9 hours, 14, 12, 9. These are the weekly totals. Dang. He's crushing it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Okay. So what's cool about, Ben Dawkins here, we got to check out his blog spot at some time too, is he's going for it. He's graduating. Doing a lot of tactics. Okay, clubs. All right. The South Carolina Dojo. Great. And then let's look at a game here. So this was played fairly recently. And we've got a first-time chat. Hey, I won a really nice game against the GM. He thinks that I was cheating. Can you have a quick look? Nope. Today is all about the graduates. Okay. I wouldn't know anyway, I feel like in terms of cheating, I trust the algorithm far more than I trust myself. And, the Ken Regan podcast we did, so we did one about the ratings and the cheating, came out recently. I thought that was one of our best podcasts, and it was really like he was able to explain some things about the rating system and how the cheating detection works that were very fascinating to me. Also like open doors about how to use computer analysis in different ways that we might change the dojo. We'll see. Okay. Gustav said listen to that twice. Oh, dang. Okay, so this is the Downtown Spartanburg Chess Club. I assume that's in South Carolina. We do have a clock time graph. So we're going to say that looks great. By the way, actually, I'll just give a shout out. So one of the things that we had talked about before the Regan podcast was Pruess made a claim that I felt was outlandish, which was that he felt he played OTB chess just as good as online, i.e. he was not distracted. And now what we're going to do, it's going to be really interesting. We're going to test our assumptions. I say no way. He says he can do it. So we're just going to have the computer analyze a bunch of his games. We're going to get those games. We're going to have a look, and the truth will be told. Okay, so as we saw, Ben Dawkins played and his opponent played good with the clock here. This is Dan from his local club. All right, here we go. Good notes. Everything fine so far. Okay. Now, one of the problems with learning openings is you end up doing weird things. Okay? So that's a weird move, obviously, because you're blocking the bishop. I guess there is an amazing point to it, though, that you can castle long and hope that someday you can get your bishop out. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I think taking is probably incorrect, because right. So what should he do? Probably rook e8, right? Rook e8. Maybe looks superficial to me. F3, unnecessary, I think. Maybe bishop e2. All right. Rook e8 now makes less sense now that f3 was played. Bishop d3 I don't like. You are putting your bishop in the way of things. So you could think about bishop b5. You could think about g4, g5 to knock this knight off. Okay, now it's getting spicy. D5 may be a good move. Okay, one of the things, Ben, that I want to say that you did really well here is that you understood this was a critical position, and here you thought for 8 minutes. Now, I think the big question is, could and should you have played bishop c4? See, using the pin. I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes. Looks good, right? Looks good. Okay, so here we go. Queen f2. Now he messes with your pawn a little bit. a4. Knight bd2. Okay, I would have preferred the more active knight c5. Okay, he's getting frisky with you. I'm not sure this is a good move, though. Bishop c4, good move. It's a hot position. It's definitely hot. My big question would be, how do we feel about b5 here, knocking the bishop off and messing with you? I don't know. Looks hot. c6, a little slow. We need something now. Can we take? We take on f6. a3, fine. b5, frisky, dude. This guy's frisky. Okay. Let me just tell you what my main questions are. Whew, I got questions. All right, I would be interested in knight takes knight, knight e4, and now on rook takes, I actually get to do this, see? Because there's a mate back here. Then we ask this question. Now, because I'm a lame-o, I would be interested in this, trade the queens, and then claim that I'm doing pretty good here. Is it still complicated? Yeah, it's still kind of complicated. But I like white because the knight is strong, and because I got the d file and my king is better. And I just don't want to play bishop e2. Knight a6 is a little weird. Knight d5 looks more normal to me. Good. Check the miserable king. Now you see what he did there. By putting the knight on a6, if the knight were here, he would have so much more juice, and he would be blocking the d file. This guy's angry, though. He's a very angry boy. Okay. What is the point about queen d4? I don't know what we're doing. Okay, so my obvious question would be either snip here and then AB, or to play rook d6 first. Rook d6 first just looks fundamentally annoying because the queen, she doesn't have any great spots, you know? Thank you, Wise Man Talking. So c5, BA maybe? This looks superficial, just bishop f5 or something. Bishop b7. He's doing fine. Okay, now, big moment for both players. He goes snip. You go snip. Now, let's just go back a momentito here. So, in this position, bishop c6 looks good, but it's true. You need to trade queens pronto, because if you do not, you are going to get mated. So much better for black would have been snop, snook, snark, and I don't know exactly what's happening, but he's definitely attacking you. There's a little check's going to come over here, you know? All right, so now we get this endgame. I agree with you. This is helping your king. Superficial. Notice the knight is stuck. The knight's not doing nothing. Good move. Good move. Good move. Good move. That ain't it. Just take the knight, bro. Just take the knight. He's not doing nothing. He's not doing nothing. Good. Okay, that was great. That was great. Now, can I just say something obvious? This is from the that was the 400 to 500 cohort. That was a pretty nice game. That was a pretty nice game, man. From both sides, honestly. Dang, they're getting stronger. Well, also, you're playing somebody who's rated significantly higher. So this is great, man. You're killing it, dude. Very nice annotations too. Okay. Dang. All right. Next up, we got Neil. Neil doesn't have much to say. Let's see what's going on. Give Neil a follow. Look, it looks like maybe he's been here since the end of last year. Hasn't done any work, it seems. Let's see if I got dojo points. No, nothing. So hard to know what's going on here with Neil. Okay, Neil, we hope to see more of you, bud. we hope to see you. All right. Next up, we got Joe. Joe is graduating again. Surprised to be graduating again so shortly, he says. I've been away and not able to do as much study, so I've mainly been playing 15-10 blunder games. But I played my first 2 games in the Dojo Open Classical. Been good to play higher rated players. I have one of these annotated and the other is 80% annotated and will finish soon. Okay, cool. So, as you can see, Joe joined at the end of January and has been killing it over here with the work. Really impressive. Already's done loads of tactics in the next cohort, and that's not looking good. He's got a tactics rating which is right around his own rating. That makes sense. Okay, looks good. We got the Irish Chess Club, up to 20 members. Intermezzo. All right, so games. Now, I want to make sure I pick the right one, but we're going to start with the one that is, well, definitely this one's the annotated one, it looks like. So this is probably the longest time control he's played. Let's go game review. Actually, before. Oh, first, let's tell the story of the tape. So as you guys know, a key problem with low-rated players and playing online is that people often play too fast. And here we see his opponent is especially guilty. Probably this was their longest game, or at least Joe's longest game that he's ever played. My guess, Yeah, he says it right up there. My first game longer than 30-0. So you did great, Joe, in terms of taking your time. Your opponent, not so good. Now, in this under 1,000 quest, you're going to play a lot of players like this, and you need to punish them for not thinking. Okay, so go game review. Here we go. So he's playing somebody about 300 points higher. So far, we're doing fine. Okay. So this is a very common thing, by the way. And your setup is, I would say, the most common setup that's played against the Sicilian by people who don't know any theory. Now, is it okay to not know any theory? It's fine. The problem with ED5 is a positional one. You say you end up a bishop down. I don't think you're going to end up a bishop down. But the thing to understand is the problem with ED, okay, is you are freeing this bishop. He gets free, and that's the problem, right? So either bishop b5 or bishop b3. By the way, a lot of people don't play bishop e3 or bishop e5 because they're afraid of a queen trade. But the queen trade isn't so special for black at all. All right, ed, your opponent now plays ed. Okay, fine. And now you play knight takes d5. What are you doing, Bows? This is the mistake. I think, he's going through this with the computer and stuff, but I think what he means is that this was his mistake. He calls the next one his mistake, but I think he means here. Okay, so now we are definitely down a lot of coconuts. And black just has to play good chess now. Yeah, simple. Oh, yeah, simple business. Yep. I don't know. Oh, that's okay, yeah. Now we are definitely toast. There's not a lot of questions. Not a lot of questions for the amount of toast that we are here. Yeah, okay, we could resign. What we want to say is all of this stuff, all of this stuff is like a long story where for me the story is one simple spot. It's being hit with d5 up here. And now let's look at the time. It's obviously a difficult position for you, and you spend only a minute on it. Okay, this is a difficult momentito. It's time to spend some time. So e takes d5 is a positional mistake, but where the game is actually lost is here. Once you're down a piece, honestly, you shouldn't give up, right? But once you're down a piece, it's, the fat lady's, she's warming up. She's warming up. So as long as you don't give the piece, you're going to have a competitive game here. All right? And that's where the game is decided. Remember, to get out of 1,000, you need to learn to take your time. Like this one, you played this move in 35 seconds. You need to take your time, you need to not hang stuff, and you need to bring out your coconuts. Let's put it in the order of importance. Not giving up your coconuts, using your time, bringing out your stuff, right? Okay. Boom. Next up, we have TCal. What does TCal say? Nothing. TCal on Twitch. Okay. So, joined fairly recently. 657. Doing some tactics. Looking pretty good on the tactics, dude. Okay. I have a feeling he hasn't done survival that much. Be good for him to do our tactics test. After 4.0 comes out May 1st, we're going to dedicate ourselves to improving our tactics situation. We got some clubs. Chicago. All right. I once lived in Chicago many moons ago. Hustled games on the beach. All right. He's doing some 30-0 games. Fine. Let's take a look at this one. So, tail of the tape. Again, we do this speech every graduation show. And the problem that you need to understand is it's not just something you say, oh, I have to play longer. You have to realize, it hurts to think. The body doesn't want to think. And it's a skill. Just as much as learning tactics or anything else, it's a skill that I need to master. Okay, so here we go. Game review. Notice, this game, you probably spent more time reviewing it than you did playing it. Here's TCal. All right, so far we're making all developing moves. Boom, boom. Okay. A little slow, but okay. That's weird. Now that he's castled kingside, I start to push Harry the h-pawn. Okay. In general, I want you to develop your pieces, but I have a little sympathy for Harry. Okay. What? I thought this was a good move in the time and review. This just loses me a pawn. Boss, it loses you a piece. Because dude can play knight takes d3, and when he does it, he'll say, check to the miserable king. And then it's crispy critters. All right. Now, this one is probably fine for him to take like this, but it's definitely dangerous because he's unleashing your rook over here. And now h5. I think queen f3 we should maybe talk about. And now he plays g6, and you say you didn't see it. I'm not even sure g6 is the best move. Personally, I would play bishop g6, because on g6, then that pawn on h6 kind of lives there for a while. f4, that's no good. So you need to take this thing and play queen d2 and get out of dodge. f4 is allowing the queen in. So remember what I said. There's 3 things you got to do. Not give up your coconuts. Spend time, right? And develop your business. Develop your coconuts. And here, what we see here is you definitely have a chronic problem of not bringing out your stuff, right? Because here, f4, he's just coming in. The development game, oh no. Development game's too intense here. And, this is totally lost for you. Not only are you down the pawn, but the king is toast. Yeah. No, we're just going to take it. Thank you very much. He should take with a rook, by the way, to be active. He should play queen g7. That's passive. Good. Now rook takes e6. Can you do rook takes e6? Oh, and now he blunders. Bang! And he says, I didn't see queen e5 here. Now, let me just stress. Simpler, I think, is rook here, and then rook takes g6. Your way might work too, but it's a little complicated. He might get away. Check to the miserable king. Check to the miserable king. Rook d1. Check, check. d4, that isn't it. Okay, so rook h3. And now he plays d takes c3, incorrect. He needs to play d3 here. He's trying. Very nice. Very nice finish. Okay, T-Cal. So 3 things. Taking your time, not hanging your coconuts, And you have some aggression here that's good. The aggression, once you learn the principles that I outlined there, you can use the aggression. You can play Harry the H-pawn if you want. That's okay. You can do Harry if you want. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have Big Eldrazi. All right, what does Big Eldrazi have to say over here? Big Eldrazi joined pretty recently here. Okay. Has done some tactics stuff. Tactics look good. Tactics look good. It suggests he's going to graduate again soon. No clubs, couple games. So let's do the longer of the time controls. A little sparse on the annotations. There's no clock. Now, sometimes I think that's when people don't know how to bring it in from wherever site they were playing on. All right, so we go game review. Let's take a look at Big Eldrazi here. A little weird, but okay. Weird. Why is B3 weird? It's not developing. A6. He's obsessed. Okay. Now, this, in the spirit of this, is fine. The problem with it is he could have whacked you here with C4. So he develops your rook. And you did trade your bad bishop. And now you say, thank you very much for the pawn. Good. Little weird. Okay. Good. I would want you to really think about castling here. So h6 or even knight h6. You got to get your king safe. Yeah, so here you're forgetting that you have a man that needs protection. b1. Here, knight b5 looks annoying. Check to the miserable king. That looks rough, huh? And here, look at this. He blundered, and you had b6, Paus. You had b6. And you are fully in the ball game now. But now you lose a piece. I'll just say the obvious. The guy should nail you here. Pin all your coconuts on the back rank. Now he's going to check you. And he's going to just snip you. I don't know what he's doing, though. Oh, he hung his rook. He hung his rook, Paus. He hung his rook. Oh. Oh. And then he resigned? Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Hard to know. Hard to know. So, a couple things. Development. Put the clock times in. And when your king is hanging out, don't just go messing around not developing. Get the hombre to safety. Get that man to safety. All right, next up we have Pepperl. Perez. Could be Peter Perez. I don't know. This is the second time I graduate this year. I was close to doing it in February after a few rapid games, but tilted and then had to refocus on the process rather than the result to manage to recover. In the last few weeks, I have played only rapid games, which has allowed me to practice some of the ideas I had learned during classical games and study times, like the typical game plans for the Caro-Kann. Again, it's a little early for this Caro-Kann stuff, even to know the name Caro-Kann. However, after graduating, I'm planning to go back to play classical games because they give me enough time to improve my thinking process. With white, I have lately played the Scotch, which has helped me become a bit more comfortable in sharp positions and tactical situations. I have found quite useful to practice attack on the castle king on Chess.com to avoid attacking without enough pieces. Okay. Now, we're going to look at a game or two, but I just want to say there's a lot of fancy talk here that I would say if you were 1500 and you wrote that, I would say, okay, makes sense, right? But right now, there's just other critical skills that you're going to need to, first of all, break it out of 1000. That's just my take. We'll see. Maybe we can see some stuff of what's going on in your games. All right. So, lived in the UK 14 years. Okay. All right. 803, looking great. Tactics rating, strong. Okay. Clubs. Join that UK chess club. By the way, this heat map is looking very dedicated. Yeah, all right. Games. This is Peppersla. And we have a clock time. So look, when we're talking about basic skills, I guarantee you this thing with the clock is important. Right? Let's go look. Let's give you another chance with it. Let's just look at a different one. There you did it. Okay, and you're playing against some chump who didn't think, so that's good. Okay, I take it back. You're thinking okay. You're thinking okay. So, let's go and look here. We're going to go game review. So far, it's fine. It's a little abnormal to play e3, but I'm not going to yell at you for that. Fine. Okay. both sides playing, so I'm not going to yell at anybody. Fine. C3. Right. Minor mistake. And H3 looks better. However, your opponent doesn't take advantage of it at all. And I think the bummer here for you is he could have played E5. Now, one of the things I preach is that if you didn't know anything about openings, you wouldn't play the move C3, right? No way. No way. The only reason people are going to play C3 here is if, they kind of have a Londony or Colley setup going on. That's the only reason they're going to play C3. Okay. So C3, E6, E4. Okay, good. Now, I like H3 first, but okay, E5. Oh, my God. So now we have a sticky situation. And one thing I want to stress here is you spend almost 2 minutes here. What is our overall time control? 30 minutes. Okay, so you don't have forever, but this would be definitely the momentito to think. E5 is a very spicy move. The guy plays it in 1 second. He hasn't thought about it. Yeah, it's a spicy situation. I mean, I can't just tell you right away what's going on. All right, you play Queen C2. I think he's going to be better after Queen C2. E5, by the way, might be a really good move. It was a good move last move, too. That's why we probably needed to play H3. I'm just looking. So one variation here I've been looking at is boom, 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 and then it's, can he do that to me? He might be able to. He might be able to just do that to me, and then, I don't know. Because, see, I take, and then he hits this coconut. Now, I just want to stress, I'm thinking long here. It's not easy for me. Not easy. Okay, so here you can see that if we had just clarified the situation first, we're in full control. E5 exclam. Now, your opponent should think a while. Here he plays it in 139. He plays DE4. I think he's much better now. You said bishop E4. Okay. Let's look at how bishop E4 might have gone. Knight E4. If you don't want to get pawn damage, Queen E4. And now black has a couple tasty choices here. He can play for F5, E4. He can just win the pawn with bishop F3 and then snip. So he's definitely going to be better no matter what. This one, though, is probably worse because, yeah, our situation is so dire here. I agree. Bishop G5 is creates more problems. I don't know if you can really do anything with the pin, but I agree with you. Queen C3. And now Knight E4 would have won the game. Okay, so something I want to stress is this is the kind of thing that destroys people at this level. Now, what do I mean? The loss of a piece, like we saw earlier, it's so devastating. And your opponent doesn't see it. Why doesn't he see it? Because he's not thinking, Bows. Because he's not thinking. That's why he didn't see it. Right? Knight E4, crushing. Knight D4, played instantly. Now, bishop C4, it's at least kind of clever. I understand what you're doing. If you don't like it, tell us what you want to do otherwise. Right? Okay, so here we go. Knight E4, now he does it. Queen E3. Oh, okay. So, by the way, it was a bad move. It was a bad move. You're in trouble, though. It's got to be said. Like, it is a hard life here. I guess we needed to do King G2. It's still ugly, though, right? Like, boom, boom, and he can tag us here. I mean, it's bad. So he does find it, I guess. I don't know if he would have found it, honestly. But anyways, we lost our coconut. That's clever. Knight c2, but isn't knight d2 also clever here? You say rook ec1, but he's just going to take this thing. Knight d2 is a clever move. And now we're toast. Okay. So the main one, okay, was when you hung your coconut. That was where the game was decided. Against this level of opposition where they're playing so fast, getting your coconuts doubled on f3, it's bad, but it's not. They're not going to punish you for it. The free piece we will. We're going to return to this time graph, okay? I realize in the other games it wasn't always this bad. Okay, grad show, back. That was Pete Perez. I think Pete Perez is going to graduate again. We'll have a chance to look at his games. Again, I want to stress, focus on the basics. There's 3 things to make 1,000. All right? 3 things. Not hanging the coconuts, taking your time, developing your coconuts. Next up, we have Skier Brian, who doesn't say anything. Skier, you used to talk to me, I felt, you know? You used to say things to me. So, yeah. I remember Skier Brian. Parenting is more important to me. You know, it's interesting. As a parent, I feel like I don't really have like a list of priorities, you know? Like, for example, fitness is important to me, but I can only do it maximum an hour a day. You know, maybe sometimes more than an hour, but that's it. You know, so is it more important to me than other things? No, but I have to do it. You know, so kind of like with parenting, you know? Anyways, that's just it's a thought. All right, USCF, really cool, Skier Brian, that you have gone to USCF. Your heat map is amazing. You're crushing it. And it's just great to see your progress, man. Really good. So, tactics rating down in the dumps because these tactics tests crushed you. Otherwise, you'd be up higher. These might be old tactics tests, too. Clubs. Oh, my 50-plus friends. Okay, great. I'm in some of those clubs. Let's see if Skier's got a game for me. Okay, here we go. We got a, look at this, 90-0. 90-0. So, generally, we don't see 90-0 in the under 1,000, but if you can do it, I very much encourage it. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. These guys, neither of them use their time. Now, I think this is this is a real tournament, i.e. OTB. White is a much higher rated player, One of the things, by the way, that's strange about OTB, where especially the dojo tournaments are better, is you will play players around your own level. I especially recommend the dojo round robins. In OTB, you know, you're going to bounce up and down, and it is a problem. It's kind of interesting, fun to play a higher rated player, but in a lot of ways, like 700 points, that's too much, right? Okay, so here's the time graph, and we just want to say, the rant is over, Kraai. The rant is over. Leave him alone. Leave him alone, buddy. He doesn't need to hear you no more. All right. So, as long as you develop your pieces, you're going to be fine. Good move. Good move. Good move. Little weird, but okay. And now you play d6. Can't be bad. Computer likes knight g4. Okay. Now, by the way, if you use the computer, it's important to understand why knight g4, because knight g4 breaks the principles, first of all, right? But it's important to see why. And the reason is on castles, which would be the regular reason why knight g4 would not be great. You have this one, and your body's slamming him here, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm happy, though, that you developed. Now, would you have maybe thought about knight g4 if you had used more time? Maybe. Bishop g4. I'm fine with this move. You are developing. Bishop h5 is frisky, but okay. I'm not going to yell at you for that. Okay, here we go. Boom, good. Little weird. Queen e7. Right. Let's read what you write. This move wastes time as it allows knight d5. I was obsessed with how to unpin the f6 knight from the queen. First, I looked at c6 and rejected it permanently because it permanently removes the defense from d6. All right, let's see what he's saying. c6, by the way, it's a good move. It's a fancy move because you could say, Kraai, aren't you going to yell at him if he plays c6 because it's not a developing move? But what's important to see about c6 is you're killing the knight. You're killing the knight. And you're giving your queen some space. And it's just a thing of experience to then say, oh, right, he's not coming at my d6 anytime soon, right? Okay, queen e7, now we are in trouble. And now I think f4 is a strong move. g4. f4, okay. Now we're in trouble. All right. Is there any hope? Is there any hope here? You played h6. Bishop h4. And now c6. Okay. f5 might be fine. For my coconuts, though, it looks completely lost if he goes boop, boop, snip, and then like knight g3. You know, it's going to be game. However, f5 is also really hard to deal with. So, my opponent, who was an elementary school kid, gets up and walks away from the board at this point, as he does frequently. I'm so perplexed at this point that I think, if I push g5 and he is away, maybe he will miss it. Oh, no. Really? Really, Bose? And you talk about b5 and knight e4. Now, one thing that's great about knight e4 is I was looking, when we were a little earlier, I was looking at ways to maybe take it and sink it, something like that. In fact, I'll show you the position. I was looking at it before, and I just wasn't convinced. But it's interesting. So knight d5, bishop d8, knight e3. And we're probably still in trouble. But you can see here we've got some interesting play with our pieces. Now, this thing the computer finds, correctamundo, pretty spicy. And look, we're threatening knight e3. And so the computer's showing you this fancy variation. I still like white, and the reason is mostly strategic in that this guy is having a problem getting out, you know? But we do have dreams, I guess, of doing something like that. Okay, beautiful variation. All right, g5 blunder. Now, maybe you thought, too, that you could take back FG. My first choice was illegal FG. Okay. Yeah. It's funny, you know, at chess.com, whenever there's an en passant, they have a little info button, and it's because so many people freak out, I think, because they're like, oh, what's this? He en passanted me. All right, now we're toast. And now just queen h6. Okay. All right, well done. Good annotations. Next up, we have King Ambit. We've had big confusions about how to pronounce his name. It's been a while. So, you know, I'm hoping I'm not getting it wrong. All right, here's some feedback he's gotten from my coach, his coach, and other strong players. I'm still too tactically weak. I make decisions based on abstract principles rather than what is concretely on the board. Okay, I trade pieces too eagerly in even positions. My tactics continue to lag behind my rating, so I'm basically always working on them on my phone, on Chessable, in any downtime. I've been doing the tactics for both this cohort and the next few cohorts as well. I've always been a few cohorts ahead with the material because I study a lot more than I play, so I run out of material before my elo catches up. Okay, let's go take a look at this. Oh, this is our dentist. Me and this guy are gonna have some. We're gonna do a barbecue sometime. We're gonna lift weights and do a barbecue. Okay, so he is crushing it, doing a lot of work. Look at this. So he did 15 hours. You know, he didn't do anything that. He had a couple weeks off, but then he's hot. He had 3 weeks off. That was his medical emergency. Might have got the norovirus. I don't know. Okay, so tactics rating truly sucks. It's true, King Zambit. What's going on, buddy? Look at that, dude. Okay. So I think you have nailed it. And what's actually most impressive about this is that you've got to 1,000 with your tactics being in the bottom. Usually, I'll say, that does not happen. So we're going to look like, are you using your time? Are you doing something else well if you're able to compensate for this? Because that's a real bummer there. Okay. I think for sure that you could get this checkmate test rating up if you did some of the if you religiously did the poll cards. You would get this thing up. Let's go take a look, though, at your business. So first, let's go clubs. We've already looked at the clubs, but there we go. Lifting heavy things. I think I'm in that one. And then we got, we want to go training plan. And we want to go tactics. So yeah, you can see that this is expired. So that was been a while ago that he did it. And right away, this is the new cohort, so he isn't done with it yet. But I think that would be a good thing to do. Actually, we want to show completed tasks here too. So, got this. The 3 checkmate tests. Yeah. So actually, maybe a really good start for you would be get to 650 and then do these checkmate tests again and crush them. Crush them, dude. You know? And it might not seem valuable, but if you got your dojo tactics average rating up, nothing else. Confidence. Right. Yeah, I'll put in the link. We got ChessDojo.club. Okay, so let's go take a look. I'm interested in how you have done well without the tactics. So this was played like a month ago. So we got time. And there we go. That's how we get him, Smeargle the goat. We think they do not. They could be, this guy might have a tactics rating of a gazillion, but the guy ain't thinking. All right, so that's one for us. One for the dojo right there. Weird. By the way, you are doing great. Rook A4, weird. E6, I love your development. You know, you could have done other things, but you were doing great here. Fine. Poor opening up your rook. No, that's no good. Knight E4 looks better to me, but you're doing fine. All right. Knight C6, we just developed. Oh, this guy's obsessed. B5 would be good. Okay, I don't like that because I don't want to go back. No one wants to go back. So knight B4 followed by either C5 or A5 looks good. Can I just say something? I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't say this. But I'm really into taking this pawn here. You know, I know I shouldn't. But that pin just is so juicy. It's just really hard for me not to do it. Now, we could be normal people and play like bishop e7. You know. Okay, here we go. Bishop d6, rook h3. This guy's just a jerk, dude. Come on. He's not thinking at all. c6, a little slow. Notice what you've done is you've killed my knight. It's your knight, actually, but, you know, we needed to fix him. So c5 followed by knight c6 makes some sense. And I don't like that. That's not developing. You say, I like this move. It either closes the position until I can coordinate my pieces. Until you can coordinate his pieces. What about that guy? What about that guy and his stinky pieces? You know, what are we talking about? Fix this knight. Okay. He fixes his pawns. Look at this. Okay, here you're obsessing over the pawns. Here, we need development, Bows. GF was terrible because this guy is not ready for the position to open. He just doesn't have any pieces out. So queen f6, you're already threatening this guy. You know, your pieces can come out. Okay. Rook takes h4. Finally, we got it. You're doing great. Okay, he's not threatening anything. Fine. Fine. Fixed our knight. Is this guy developing? No, he's not. Knight f6, probably okay. I like king e7 a little better, just to be safe and bring our rook over at some point. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, that wasn't it. All right, we're doing great. Bang, good move, good move. So can we just say, my dear friends, that this person he's playing, it's a little lower rated, honestly, but because this guy doesn't think, we're smoking him, dude. We're smoking him. This is over. We're going to stop this one. Okay, so we have learned something very interesting. If you don't have it tactically, or at least not yet, you can still be competitive when you use your time, right? Beautiful. All right, well done. Next up, we have Tom John. Tom John says, I recently switched from using my ChessCom rating to Lichess, which just came out of provisional after my latest game. That gave me a quick bump, but progress also came from shifting focus. After my last graduation, David pointed out I needed more classical games. At the time, 46% of my dojo score came from tactics and only 20% from games. Since then, I've been playing about one classical game a week, which has helped both my Lichess and ChessCom ratings. The updated training plan has been excellent, clear, motivated, and easy to follow. I also hope the Philippines is added to geographical pricing soon, especially since I've heard that it's already active in India. Quick question for this sensei reviewing this. My Lichess rating is no longer provisional, but the rating deviation is still above the threshold for inclusion in the Lichess rankings. I take that to mean it's not fully stable yet. Should I move straight to the 13 or stay in the 1200 to let things settle? We'll take a look. I'm also a bit unsure about skipping the 1011 on a cohort. That's where logical chess move by move is assigned, and I've heard it's helped a lot of players. Okay, we're going to look at your game. Okay, so, well, let's use the one you learned a lot from on March 15th. So I'll just grab that. Let's go take a look at your profile for a second here. Okay, so Lichess is way up there at 1330. So you could technically graduate again. ChessCom is way down in the dumps. And the tactics rating is looking strong. Okay. So you killed it with the Lichess. And it seems like Okay, it seems like you've been killing it for a while here, so it's kind of stabilized. So as long as it doesn't go down, stay where you are for a second. Stay where you are for a little bit and then, go to the next cohort. It is weird to me, okay, that there's such a discrepancy between the two. One problem we have is that Lichess, the rating system is so odd there. They start people off at 1400. So it's like the inflation there. We had to do we had to do a whole redo last year of our rating translation because of the FIDE shift. But then we learned when we did that the Lichess inflation is so intense that we had to really drop a lot of people who were in Lichess. We had to drop just hundreds of dojo members. I think it was kind of heartbreaking for some. So, it was like maybe now, and we have to do this, rating translator every 2 years or something. Maybe Nose is in the chat and he's like, Kraai, I already did it once, man. I already did it once, buddy. I got a kid now. Leave me alone. In any case, maybe that's what's going on. Let me read some comments. Mumukskia says, I just joined the dojo a few days ago. Realistically, do I need a subscription? My goal is to add like 1 to 200 ELO and have fun while doing it. How is the community? So I think what he means is on the free tier and doesn't have a subscription yet. You don't have to. It just makes things a lot easier for you to do it, And it supports us. It supports us. The community, I feel, is amazing. It's one of the many reasons to join the dojo. So, Tom John is here, and he says that ChessCon was really just 1510, and Lichess was a 3030. And Nose is saying we should do it every year or two. No, but he doesn't want to do it. We got to find somebody else. Maybe it's you did it so efficiently. You made it look easy, So maybe we could find somebody else that could make it look easy. All right. So now, normally I hit the games thing. Actually, I'll hit the games real quick, but we're just gonna. He's done loads of annotations, so that's great. What we're gonna do now, though, is we're gonna just boom it. This is the one. So you can just take a. You can go down here, check it out. You go copy, and you copy PGN, or you copy the URL, and boom, you can do anything you want with the game. One of the beautiful things in the dojo. All right, first up, let's go clock usage. And Tom John did much better than his opponent. As you can see, his opponent thought this was a 10-minute game, and Tom John actually used their time. So I'm hoping we crushed him. We won't always. It's just a massive competitive advantage when we're able to think and they cannot. Okay, so game review. Mark reviewed. Dang, those 30 hours work. Now, let me ask you, if you were to do it again, though, wouldn't it be easier the next time around? All right, this is the famous one. Boom, 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 boom. Now, knight f7 is, just to say, I don't want to know if I want to get too theoretical on us here, but knight f7 isn't as strong as d4. It's a little involved. Okay, but let's look at the game. Okay, so here we go. Boom. Here we go. Knight b4. Castles. c6. And now d4, baby. Oh, it's hot. It's hot. Okay. Now, let's talk about this amazing position. This one's hot. Whew, gives me anxiety just looking at it. Okay, so the big question, this is, by the way, a position that, like the old timers looked at, from hundreds of years ago. And the question is, can he do that? Can he do something else? It's been analyzed pretty deeply. With this move order, it's supposed to be that black's okay. Queen f6 doesn't look right, though, does it? This is very complicated. You know, how this goes down, whew, I'm going to say I'm not sure. I'm going to say this is really hot to handle. Too hot to handle. Here's just a fun variation to show you some interesting things here. Mate! That's just an example. That's just an example of the things that can go down here. Queen f6 looks wrong because he's abandoning this point, right? Okay. And we definitely can't trade queens here. Now, you spent 6 minutes on this move, which, by the way, good. Good that you spent that amount of time on it. This isn't a Greco game. This is what we call the fried liver attack. Okay, so now Queen e2, by the way. It's important to understand that the reason we wouldn't play the natural Queen e4 is because of Queen f5. And what is the idea? The idea is that just like long term, the black king can't live, and we're going to play a3 probably sooner rather than later. Rook e1, all this stuff, maybe f4 too. Okay, so Queen f6. I want you to really scream at yourself for this Queen f6 because it's no good. Because it's no good. You lost all your chances to mate the guy. a5, totally strange move. Why not take the pawn? Okay, now he might give us some kind of chances. Rook e1, good move. And now we could play f4. Okay. f4, okay. Bishop d6. fe5. Okay, but you want a pawn, so you can't complain too much. Now, there's a little bit of an argument that maybe you should just play bishop a2, but it's hard not to take that bad boy. I would have won on rook e2. So notice what happened. We kind of lost our initiative there. So the pawn a4 doesn't actually do anything. Because I want to play knight e4 and then knight g5, see? Okay, but let's look. I like rook e2 better, as I said. Okay. Rook a e1 now. Very good. That's no good. Let's play knight c3. Good. And you play bishop e3 here. It's important to see that you have some interesting compensation. First, you have 2 pawns, right? And he can't really move that well. When you play bishop e3, you're going to be losing the pawn on e5. So I think if you found nothing else, you should play h3. Let's play h3. We've got to fix the king anyway. At some point, we might want to advance the pawn. And now we lost our coconut, man. That's a good cheap trick. And he fell for it, buddy. Okay, so you play bishop d5. Let's look at your bishop f8 variation. So what are we saying here? The guy survived through this? That's unfair. Hold on, he deserves to lose for bishop f8. That's no fun. Now, of course, the guy should play king takes now. So that was a dirty trick you pulled on him, man. That was a dirty trick. Oh, and he survives like that. Okay, h3 in general is better. We want to keep our pawns on the opposite color of the bishop. Why is this happening to him? Because he's not thinking. Okay. All right. So you say rook e1. And note, what are you doing? You're playing for a cheap trick. Okay? That's just a cheap trick. So better would be something like bishop c5, bishop d4. Okay. Now we're getting to that lost zone. But if he's moving fast, we're not going to worry about it. Poor move, king h5, putting his king over there. Now, let's just say it's not ideal for him to trade the rooks. All right, let's think about this. Are we totally toast? Probably. He doesn't know what he's doing, though. Why isn't the black playing h5? No one knows. Finally. Now we're gone. Black wins. Okay. So, quite the game. And let's say the obvious. Knight g5 is not a developing move. D4, you still had it. You still had it. I don't think I think your skills could have been more. The main mistake, though, okay, the one to scream over, is taking on f6. No way. You're on the attack here. You need firepower. You need all the juice you got, bud. Right? Okay. Icy Zaf says Queen f6 is the main line nowadays. Holy moly. Look at this. I mean, if that's true. Okay. I would say the main line, by the way, is not knight f7, but d4 here. At least back in the day. Pre-computer era. That's what we were told to do in this fanciful variation. Okay. The point being on ed, you castle and you make him beg for it, like bishop e7, then I'll hit you. And on knight d4, you play him with c3. This is a little bit theoretical, though, isn't it, Kraai? All right, let's leave it alone. Okay, great, Tom John. And here we are, back here. We have so long to go, buddy. So long to go. Next up, we got Sleepy Owl. I had already manually adjusted my cohort, but I felt I'd missed out on the graduation and the badge. So I went back to graduate properly. Can you please review my game against Super Noob? It was my first round robin game. Okay, we can do. I learned the magic of en passant and castling in the summer of 22, age 51. Okay, this is beautiful. He's in Antwerp. All right, great. Look at this. He's hitting the work here. He is doing the work. I am really pumped up about this kind of profile, right? Like somebody who's going for it and is doing the work, and I want to see how far they can go. Because there'll be rough patches. You won't always be making progress. Beautiful tactics rating. Look at that. So the tactics rating alone suggests that that Sleepy Owl we're gonna see him often again. Okay, so we had a really interesting podcast guest yesterday, Peter Doggers from, I was about to call it sister country to Belgium. They might not like that. I feel like it is, but that's just from my view from the distance. They might get really excited when I say that. In any case, he noted in his book, The Chess Revolution, which we talked about, that Lichess is more popular in Europe. Makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Anyways, I think I just feel like I've seen it in the dojo, that statement, and I hadn't really thought of it until I read it in the book. All right. Santos says saying Queen E2 instead of Queen E4. Right, that was what his annotation said too. Clubs. European, Belgian Dojo, 17 members. There we go, buddy. There we go. All right. We have, be interesting to know how many countries we have a dojo club in. We have quite a few. All right, we got games. And I think he said super new. So this is 45-30, round robin tournament game, as he said. Got tired and concentration decreased. All right, let's see time usage. My dear friends, playing at the dojo, you're going to get some serious competition. Like, people know I'm going to yell at them if I see a game and their time graph is all wrong. And so it'll sometimes look like this. This is a GM looking graph right here. This is the way, if you look at GM graphs, this is the way it looks. Alex, no, chess.com is by far more popular than Elite Chess, but just in terms of percentages, Elite Chess is more popular in Europe than it is in the United States. I think he quoted something like 40% of online chess users in Europe are doing Elite Chess, and something like 10% of US users are using Elite Chess. To give you an example of both the popularity of chess.com and just the popularity of chess in general, the amazing stat that he's put out in this book blows me away. All right, listen, here it is. There are more active monthly users on chess.com, okay? More people visit the site every month than there are people in Russia, dude. Right? That's a lot of people, man. That's like a country. That's a country going on there, man. Yeah. All right, here we go. He's talking about getting nervous and all this stuff. It's part of the game, my friend. I'm just so happy you used your time. So this part of it is really good. Let's go. Fine. And here we saw this earlier, this Queen E2 thing. I guess it might even grow on me. Obviously, to put the queen on the rook, where the rook is soon going to be, it makes me nervous. Okay, D6. Rook castles is probably stronger. F3. I don't like it. We got to play bishop E3, bud. Bishop E3. Good. Snip, snap. Helping you, just like in the last game, because the one of the issues with your queen was that you weren't letting the bishop out. Poor, activating your rook. A6. Poor, unnecessary loss of time. What should he do? He should be castling. Queen E7. Okay. Now you play a very good move and take 5 minutes doing it G4. Let's read what you write. Here I was trying to decide which plan to follow. Much would depend on where black castles. If black castles kingside, I'll start pushing the pawns. But what if black also castles queenside? Well, he can't do both. I am almost developed, only my light square bishop is left, but I don't know where yet to put it. Good, I don't know where to put it yet either. So one of the things to see about G4, okay, hopefully this will be helpful, is the point of G4 is not just to get an attack going. It might lead to an attack, but far more important is we want to undevelop this knight and then plant our bad boy here on D5. That's our dream right there. It's a very simple and effective dream. Where can I find out about the round robin tactical strategical acts? Well, you come to the dojo. You go up to the top. Actually, let me see if I can show it to you here. I think it's just, actually I can't. Oh yeah, there it is. So there's tournaments there. And then you hit round robin. And let's say we were looking at the 1,000 to 1,100. We have Grand Trier in the wait list for the new tournament. And as you see, we got 4 tournaments concurrently ongoing in the 1,000 to 1,100 situation. That is serious, man. That is serious. Whew! That's the real deal. So, also, if you are not a member of the dojo, you can join this thing for $2. We wanted to make it available to people. All right, back to Sleepy Owl. Back to the game review. So, here we go. We were in this business. We were like here. So G4 exclam. I would say that is a GM level move. H6, H4, good. Castles. We get it. We get it. But it's controversial. Now, you could play G5 immediately or bishop H3. Okay, good. Good. Again, what's the point? You're going to get your knight here. Bring it. Yeah, buddy. Queen F8. And it's important to see, like, you are strategically doing fantastic here. Now, one of the things I see in your comments is a nervousness, anxiety. We all have it. Let's just read what you say. I didn't know what to do. Didn't see a way to break through. Looked for tactics. Found nothing. And I think your pawn move is great, F4. Great. Yeah, you're doing absolutely fantastic. So, F4, I feel like the anxiety, though, is probably your biggest problem right now. All right, 97, here he comes. Your next move, you take a lot of time and you say, since I had no real plan, I give black the chance to reorganize its pieces. Okay. So, let's just take a momentito. You got a lot of different moves. And I have sympathy for moving the knight because this knight on E7's definitely a chump. I'm just looking. Just looking. Okay, I'm okay with your move. I think knight C3 is more natural. Okay, knight B6. I don't understand this move. I think I wanted to move my rook to the A file to start attacking the king, maybe also protecting my knight with the pawn. So I want to stress here, you have a lot of different, very good building moves. Okay, one would be Queen C3 to look at this coconut and this coconut. One would be Bishop G4 to introduce the idea of fighting for the H file. Similarly, Bishop G2, not dumb, because then you can start targeting this square, right? So you have several building moves where you want to improve your pieces. And C3 doesn't really improve anything. Queen E8, weird. King C2, also weird. Okay, now we want to go back to D5. Queen F3, that wasn't it. Okay. And you talk about knight D5. Good. I think this might have been the best solution. Now, your advantage has dripped a little bit because C3, King C2 didn't help, but you're still fine. This is weird, though, because you're allowed. Why would we let him do that to us? I know you're in Belgium, but we call this the Irish pawn structure. Now, the thing is, you still might be okay because your position was so great that maybe even after this you'd be okay. And now we definitely want to play Bishop G2. Bishop G2. Boom, boom, right there. The rook gets active. You know, you're doing things. This one, I don't know. I don't know. Good. Queen C3. Okay. And now Bishop F1. You're talking about surviving. You know, he's still got his own problems. That knight isn't doing anything yet. Good. That's where I wanted it from the beginning. Queen D2. Okay. All right. Now we're just kind of, everybody's moving around a little bit here. All right, we go to a little endgame. You're doing okay. A little weird. E5. I don't know. This one, I don't know. Because this takes a lot of flexibility out of your position. But okay, let's go. D5. Good. Now, one of the things here is you've been obsessed with Rook A1 for a long time, right? So it's kind of like you're following through on that. Let's put this bad boy over here. Let's put him over there. Yeah. King C7. He should be thinking, by the way, of knight F8 to E6. There he goes. But we can take it. And now you gotta give me the H file. Hey, your move is okay. I should take that. I'm not gonna say anything. Now H file. Okay. And now King C5. You say another pointless move. Rook H6 is usually what's done here. And I'm actually reading a book about the battle. It's called The Philosopher and the Housewife by Willie Hendricks. It's a chess history book about the battle between Siegbert Tarrasch and Aaron Nimzovich. And in one of their early encounters, in a similar position to this, Tarrasch says, of course you put your rook on H6. It's just what you do. It's what's done. It's what's done. Yeah. So here we go. King C5. King V7. We can still do Rook H6. Oh, and then here, okay, so this is an important mistake. And after this, you're going to really lose the initiative. Because it's only, yeah, we got our own problems. Now, look at this, though. Your opponent didn't get it. He didn't get it. What does he need to do? He needs to start attacking those coconuts. By the way, this is by no means a lost position yet. It would be if he starts activating his pieces. But I think a clever move would be E6 and then get some very nice king activity. Yeah, he can't prevent everything. And then, this guy, he's going to be a runner. All right. So look, poor move. Did you play Rook H1? Very nice. Chess is an easy game. Rook E7, Rook H7. Thank you very much. And now you can play E6 if you want to. You said check to the miserable king. F5. Good. F5. Boom. Has it in the notes. Bang. Now, you were in some time pressure. And what you're learning to do, by the way, here is you're learning to play on the increment, right? And it's clear, like, this is our moment, I think. This is our moment. You're still better after Rook H8. F5 is a really nice move, though, to see. Okay. And now we draw it out. Oh, whew, that was exciting. All right. So I'm going to mark that as reviewed. That was Sleepy Old Owl, who is making tremendous progress over here. Tremendous progress. So well done, sir. We're going to see you again soon. All right. Now we got still a couple in this. Normally I break up the grad show, by the way, for those of you joining late. I do it in 2 sessions because it's too much for an old dude for me to just go forever. Today we're going forever, though. And I usually go to 1,100, so people who've made it out of the 1,000. And then I do the next show about the people over 1,000. I am going to give myself a break, though, after these next 2. What's the opening called when you go F3, they go D5, and you go D4? I don't know what that means. I don't know. Here we go, Hallibo. What does he say? Really happy with the program, been with it for a while, but I never really used the scoreboard too much because a lot of my training involved tasks that weren't part of the program. The ability to create custom tasks and see my heat map ended up being the addition that lured me back into using the scoreboard consistently. Funny thing is, I think the 2 things that are driving my current rating jump are blunder games and learning a bit of opening theory. During December and January, my local chess club had a holiday week and then burned down during the Eaton fire. Dang. Wow. He spent his holiday break playing an unholy amount of Rafa games on Chess.com. Better sense of time management and the mistakes I tend to make. I also adopted an opening repertoire that's forcing me to play more actively and tactically. However, going forward, I think I need to step back and focus on the parts of my training that are truly driving my growth. I don't think the online chess is actually making me better. I think I'm just playing a bit more practically, and it's helping my rating catch up to the unholy amount of studying I've been doing with the steps method. In these upcoming months, I would like to reorient my training around master game study, self-analysis, and endgames. I'm really lacking in these areas, and as I play stronger opponents at my club, I will probably see more players punish my lack of strategic awareness or simply grind me down in an endgame. Overall, I'm really proud of myself for studying hard and sticking with OTB, even though I had a prolonged rating slump in fall, winter 23-24. It's not easy sticking with such a grueling activity when you aren't seeing progress in your performance. Most proud of my games against Ann L. and Ojas, considering I used to get destroyed against the Sicilian. Okay. So we're going to look at Paul L. Santos is going to get the NM title after he gets his life fixed next year. Okay, that's a good, I like it. So this is, when he said Eton, I was thinking England, but Eton, I guess, is also a town in the U.S. A wonderful tactics rating. Right. Okay. So, clubs, chess steps, okay. Games. I think he said Paul L., if I'm not mistaken. So, we don't have clocks. Let's go game review. Mark this as reviewed. All right, here we go. Wait a sec. It's, all right, yeah, Alejandro. Good. So far, you're playing great. Beautiful. 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 My strategic sense is terrible, so not sure how to evaluate this trade. I trade my bad bishop for his good bishop. If you can say those words, then I think your strategic sense is pretty good. No, you're doing great. Now, this move is a little bit weird because we have to ask about where your knight on g8 is going, right? And then you find it difficult to castle later. Makes sense. Okay. So, let's say a normalish plan of action here would be to play queen b6, fight for this square, and then develop the bishop. So this, a lot of beginning level French players, is a French structure without the bad bishop, have a similar kind of grief here, right? Because they're like, how am I supposed to get my pieces out? Castles, queen b6, knight bd2, knight h6, great move. In general, when they put their knight here in the French, it is RQ to take on d4 because then their knight can no longer come to the active c3 square. However, you found a way to get your knight out. Good move. Rook c8. Why not knight f5? Knight b4. Good move. So, knight c2. I think this is a good move. Bishop h6, it's getting spicy. As he notes, if gh, we would have seen rook ec1, and then we're toast. So he plays knight takes e1, rook takes e1. I think bishop g7 should have at least been tried. Yeah. Because white definitely has compensation here for the exchange. Like bishop h6, and it's not so easy for black. The king will be permanently on the run. Rook b1, that's a terrible move. It doesn't do anything. Good move. Good move. You could have also played bishop g5. I like your move, though. Queen d8, I don't understand. Why are we doing that? Okay. 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 And he trades. Oh, you're doing great. Look at this beautiful position. This one, why are we giving away the pawn, though? Just park yourself over here. Now, it's not only we lost the pawn, but we lost this square. And now look what you did. You played rook c1, where you need to penetrate with Mr. Rook. I don't know. I think he should consider, there's other moves he has to consider there. Good move. Good move. I don't like knight h2. By the way, so one of the things we see at the dojo, Alejandro, is when people get to the end game, they oftentimes, like you're doing here, go a little soft on the annotations. This position, I can promise you, is one of the most intense I've ever seen. It is very real, like analyzing it. Knight h2 is a horrible move because if nothing else, you can play rook h4 and take their pawn. So the interesting question here is who's better and why? You know, you should be better, but it's kind of hot. It's kind of hot. Like if he achieves king f1, g3, king e2, it's going to get hot. All right, but this isn't it. Passive. Good move. Poor move. Because now you're winning. That's how easy chess is. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Just thank you. They say that the knight is terrible against the rook pawn, and there it is. Okay, so well done. Well done. All right, we got one more before I take a break here, and that's keep the mind sharp. Let's go grad show here. What do we got? Keep the mind sharp. Oh, I kind of blew it. Actually, let's just do it right. Let's keep the mind sharp. And they have graduated twice, dude. Twice, but they haven't been doing any works. So will they have games? No. Keep the mind sharp. Dude, give us some love. Give us some love, bud. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break. Got to give myself a little coffee or something. Throat. Look out into the distance so my eyes don't hurt. And then I'll be back. When we come back, we're going to do the 1,000 plus graduates. I think I'm going to start at the top. We are back with Netsoka. Netsoka, to me, we'll see if it's true, means someone who's pushing pawns on the net. All right, here we go. Love to have a structured plan. The Polgar puzzle was a great addition and helped brought my board vision immensely. That's also like a Germanicism when you can smush words together. I kind of want to do it myself all the time in English. I want to smush words together like board vision. Forcing myself to prioritize longer games, annotate them, not focusing too much on openings and doing puzzles on a daily basis was a game changer. Also enjoyed logical chess and going back to easier fundamental books. Beautiful. All right, let's go take a look at Netsoka. Let's keep the mind sharp. Here's Netsoka. How come I'm not following Netsoka? Max, 31-year-old self-employed strength coach using my free time to get better at chess. Oh, there you go, dude. Look at that. So, Alex Gustafsson in the chat, you got a soulmate, dude, over there in Germany. I'm assuming it's Germany. He doesn't have any other things going on, though. So, you can see that Netsoka is killing it with the week goals here. Basically just slaying it every week. This last week, he did 5.5 hours, and he got a little X, but still. Netsoka is here. Nice. Now, when you say you're a strength coach, does that mean like powerlifting? What are we talking about? Because Alex is here. He's got his own gym over there. I haven't been to his gym, but I just know he's got a gym. Powerlifting, great. I've been doing some powerlifting. Right now, we got this thing called Murph in the United States, and that's kind of what I'm training for. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but I was doing powerlifting. Now I'm trying to switch. I'm still doing a lot of lifting, but I'm like, got to get this Murph thing going on, you know? The push-ups and the pull-ups and the air squats. Killing myself. Oh, that's cool. He runs a club in Berlin. Dude, Netsoka, you should get in with Alex Gustafsson, you know? I don't know if you guys, how many strength coaches do you have out there who are also chess fanatics, you know? All right, here we go. That's great, though, in Berlin. I have a friend in Berlin. I lived in Germany ages ago, last millennium, and I have a good friend who lives in Berlin. He's a fancy professor there. So there's dreams. There's dreams of me going back and being able to hang out. But I got a lot of commitments weighing me down, tying me down over here before I can get away. All right, clubs. We got the Berlin Dojo. Look at that, 3 members, dude. And this is more honestly the kind of, I think the German dojo is great, but the kind of more local club that I think is much better for, because like, let's say you're part of the Berlin Dojo and you got somebody around your rating, then you can be like, oh, we can actually meet and do studying together, you know? All right. So, beautiful that you're crushing it with the plan. I just want to tell a quick shout out to the power lifters, actually. So we have worked very hard to create this training plan thing here, that it goes together with a heat map. And this thing tells people what to do. And this was very hard to develop, underappreciated. We still have to tweak it some, okay? But where it really arose from, where there were a bunch of people in the dojo who were into weightlifting, and these people were like, listen, this, and I think they're fundamentally right. It's like this BS where you're just like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff to do. No good. You got to tell me exactly what to do, like a weightlifting program tells you how to do it. And so that's really been the drive for years to get this thing developed. Netsuka, if you have a game you would like me to look at, then, just tell me. Go over any of these games over here. Good annotations here. So I'll just start with this one. Boom. All right, let's go time usage. And we're going to say your time reasonable, just because even though you didn't use that much, it's not that long of a game. Your opponent was definitely guilty here of moving too fast. All right, here we go. Game review. Weird. I think D5 is definitely a good move here. Poor. So look, let's just talk about this. It's not playable. It's terrible. You are going to play, every dojoer will, players who move too fast, like this guy, and people who don't respect getting their coconuts out. I did a Chessable course recently that I wanted to be called, I had a different name for it, but they called it Mastering Time in Chess, so tempo in chess. And basically what it was is a bunch of positions like this where your opponent gives you time, and then you have to ask yourself, what do you do with it? Because my appreciation after doing this graduation show forever, that after you cross 1,000, the big thing to learn is how do you punish people who play moves like this? Because you're going to get it all the time. Anyway, so a bunch of positions like this, and I would ask, what should you do? And I would definitely say in this position, yeah, D5, for sure, for sure. So also a poor move. He's already in big trouble, but also a poor move because now the bishop is blocked, and we're going to call this a negative tempo because the queen's going to have to move again. I like bishop e2 better. And the reason for that is that we want to put the rook on e1 to hurt black for doing this, right? I still like your position. I don't like that move. Because think about it, this queen needs to move again, right? So we don't want to take that thing. Knight c3, bishop e2, anything that doesn't involve taking that thing. Terrible. Terrible. All right, queen d2 is okay. Castles is okay. Bishop takes, pawn takes. I'm going to give you an exclam here. So after check with the engine confirms. So, but let's talk about why. Because the guy is down in time, and it's time to mate this dude. It's time to mate him. Is it a little scary with your king open and stuff? Sure. But it's time for this guy to go. All right, knight f6, bishop f4. Bishop f4 makes a lot of sense to me. Queen h5. And here I want to stress Queen e3 isn't terrible. And here you're using the engine, but I want to say I saw the engine move, not because I'm a genius, but because I know how to think about these positions. And what would be the thing to do here is to win more time. So where does this rook want to go? He wants to nail this king so hard. And so without, you did some analysis here, but it's pretty basic. We're going to play rook he1 and we're going to hurt this dude. It's not going to be pleasant for a peasant. Yeah. Okay, so Queen e3, you're still doing great. d6, yeah, you're doing great. Knight d5. And now you spent 5 minutes on this next move. Okay, so one of the things I want to encourage you, Netsoka, is when you analyze these games, I'm fine with you using the engine, but I want you to try to do it by yourself first, okay? And very simple, just because we want you to, be able to think about the positions yourself. And the reason you would want to calculate rook takes d5 is just because it looks like maybe you're winning here. So I haven't looked at your analysis, but this is just the way I would go about it. I would say, okay, looks great. Looks great. And now I have 2 moves that are interesting. Bishop d3, threatening mate, and queen e8, king h7, bishop d3, right? So I'm not sure about queen e8 because on king h7, the rook is tapping me. So then I'll look at this one. It's a mate threat, Queen e6, no bueno, because queen d8. So like g6, I don't know, f5. And then this boy comes to town. And look at that. That's exactly what your computer says. But look, queen e5, we don't need to look at queen e5. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, the good news is you thought for 5 minutes here. And the reason that's such good news is you recognize, like, oh, I probably have something here, All right, now this guy's full blunder. Why is he blundering, by the way? Because he's not thinking. And by the way, I saw it too. Boom. No bueno, baby. Oh, man. That would have been so unfair. Okay. Good. So he blows it because he's not thinking. Check to the miserable king. I think bishop d3 might also, I'm sure bishop d3 is also strong. That isn't it. That isn't it. Okay, good. Well done, Netsoka. All right, that was fun. That was fun. Okay, next up we have Geraldo, who is graduating just all the time, dude. Just all the time. And you know what? Yeah, here he is. So let's read what he says. What an epic journey to break into the 1100 cohort. I've had a ceiling I've been bouncing off of for 2.5 years, and I couldn't find a way through. Then 5 weeks ago, something suddenly clicked while studying Yasser Seirawan's winning chess tactics. I could see relationships between pieces that I knew of, but had previously eluded my mind on the board. I love Yasser for handing me this key. Another great curriculum choice by the dojo. Thank you. Great. All right. So, 64. Right, I remember this profile. Crushing it with the tactics. Really good. Okay, so 1100, 1200. Now, Geraldo, we got to say, let's just look at some of your other ratings. So, yeah, I guess on ChessCom you made it. And then Lee Chess, which is not your preferred one, you didn't, but okay. You're playing a lot, buddy. You're playing a lot. Okay. Somehow the tactics test didn't suit you over here. All right, so we have the Australian time zone dojo. Yeah, okay. Um, Australian time zone dojo. I'm thinking like that. There's Australia dojo. There's the Down Under dojo. You'd think we got enough clubs here. All right, so games. There's a picture of him doing the mountaineering stuff. All right, so here we go. This is Skyfall, Repertone. I kind of want to pick this one. It was just because it was a longer time control. Accepted a random challenge on Lead Chess. Here's our clock time. It's 1 hour plus 60. And what we'll do is we'll look at the situation at move 20. Because if he's exhausted, what a lot of times happens when you're exhausted is it's impossible to actually think, and then you just start moving quickly. And that's what we see here. So exhaustion leads to impulsive decision making. Impulsive decision making, when you look at it on a time graph, looks like that. Okay, so let's go over here. Game review. Okay. So far, so good. Little weird. This is not a principled move in that I drop development tempo, but I think it's fine, and I like to get aggressive on the b4 bishop early. Yeah, bishop g2. Weird. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Good. Poor. Not developing. Queen b5. I like queen c3 much better. I like queen c3 better. And you steal a pawn. Okay. Okay, I'm okay with you stealing this pawn. d3, good. Poor. Good. Soft. Good. A little too much. Okay, this ruins the pawn structure needed to defend the castle king, indeed. All right, you played bishop d2. The big question, I think, is should you play knight g5? If we were going to worry about something, I think it would be rook h5. The good news for us, though, is after we, like we might say to ourselves, oh, he's surviving that way. But I think h4, and it's just like, nope, son. Now I'm going to take here next. This bishop isn't doing anything. That isn't doing anything. So if you sack that way, it's, homeboy's coming to town. Homeboy's coming to town. All right, bishop d2, you're still doing great. That doesn't do anything. Good move. That isn't it. Thank you very much. Okay, now one of the things we said was on move 20, you started moving fast, and I criticized you. And here we want to say this is where the game should be over soon, okay? And here you spent 5 minutes on e4, and you missed bishop g4. If you played it faster, I would have yelled at you, but I think you just missed it. So a good move here. There's a lot of good moves here. Honestly, even if it's black's move here, you're just crushing them, right? So knight e5 looks like the most compelling to me. All right, we're still doing great, but now we're going to have to work at it. Okay, boom. Well, your hope chess is rewarded, my friend. All right, so now you're completely winning again. Good move. Good move. Good move. I don't know. h4. Okay. I like rook takes h4 better. Yeah, wasted pawn move. Okay. So this is the stage of the game where you just need to slow it down. Okay? That's all you got to do. You just got to slow this bad boy down. Uh-oh, now it's starting to look ugly. Okay, good. We want to trade the rooks. That one makes me nervous. Uh-oh. Now I'm getting nervous. King e4. King c3. Uh-oh. What is happening here? So, this is now, we have got ourselves into a situation where they might be holding this game. So, King c3. And you're saying maybe that you got this still? I don't know. I don't know. All right, this is terrible, though, because now his pawns can be easily attacked. So the thing to analyze would be, at some point, playing for a4. I guess you are winning. I guess you are. I guess you are, dude. I guess you are. Oh, my gosh. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Like, let's just say something obvious. Let's just play f3 or king d3 or something. You know? This part of it isn't complicated. Maybe it is, Kraai, you know? Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's mildly complicated or something. It's not, though. It's not. Okay. In any case, this freaks me out. Good. And now you're winning this thing again. No need to give him that pawn, though. But anyways, we're crushing him. Well done. Whew. So, definitely it was the case that after move 20, when you were winning, you started moving way too fast. The exhaustion and all that. Okay. That was nerve-wracking, but you did it. Next up, we have Tom. Tom says, I've experimented with different thinking methods, and when I found the one that worked, I started doing really well. That and learning from each game. All right, let's go see. I want to know what the thinking method is. All right. Not a lot of work shown. I don't know what's going on there. 1224, so actually he's eligible to graduate again. We got some clubs. Nothing. Games? Nothing. Now, I just want to say, this is such a long grad show. I'm a little bit thankful. But Tom, buddy, you gotta give us some love over here. Give yourself some love. Do some work. Do some games. Giorgio's next. Giorgio says, happy to finally make another graduation. Definitely felt it took some more work this time. Had to do quite a bit work of tactics. And also Jesse's Mastering Time course was an eye-opener. That's the one I was talking about before. Still feel I'm struggling to convert advantages and more often now end up in worse endgames. Enjoying the round-robin tournaments. Dude, fantastic. Can I please review this game? Yes, sir, I can. Let's just copy and paste it, and we'll go look at your profile before we do. Boop. All right, here's Giorgio. So, looking good. 1260. This guy's above where he needs to be. If we go, he hasn't been logging epic hours. So kind of oddly, he was way more active on the scoreboard before, and now, what's happened, Giorgio? What happened? Did you get a girlfriend? What happened, buddy? Okay, so yeah, let's go look around here. Clubs. He's a Norway player. Tell Magnus hi from me, Giorgio. All right, we were now going to look at your game that you requested. Okay, so first we look at the time graph and we say, oh my gosh, this is 30 plus 30. You stopped thinking on move 30. We'll see what's going on there, move 30. Your opponent stopped thinking at move 15. So I'm hoping you killed this person. Can I just say, this thing about, one of the things I've said is to get out above 1,000, you have to learn how to use your time. And it's not the case, as we see, that everybody above 1,000 is using their time, especially the randos online. It's very difficult to focus when you're online. There's all kinds of things going on. So it's almost easier to play really quick, because then if you started thinking, you'd be distracted by all the online world that has to offer, right? Okay, so this is Chess Dojo Round Robin, playing Everest Knight. So far, so good. 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 Little weird. Knight c6 looks more natural to me. Fine. Fine. Okay, and now it's interesting. Should we play bishop takes f3? You say no. Okay. Now the challenging move, I don't know how to evaluate it yet, would be knight e5. I think maybe knight e5, maybe you'll play queen c7. I don't know. Poor. Why? Because it's not developing. Okay. h6, bishop h4. And now you played bishop e7. And you say you don't like g5. And rook c8. Let's just talk about rook c8 for a second. So remember we were talking about the course, right? The premise of the course is your opponents, like this guy, are going to give you time like he did with bishop g5. You're not punishing him, though, when you play bishop e7. When you gain time, tempo, you want to try to gain more time. And so rook c8 is setting you up for knight b4 ideas and costs white a tempo while you develop. All right, bishop e7. Now, white should consider knight e5 here. Plays h3. Poor. Boom, boom. Now, one of the great things that's just happened here is now you're finding yourself in what we call a Carlsbad structure, and you've gotten rid of your bad bishop, which is very important. I kind of like this move. Notice it's not a full loss of time because when you recapture, your queen is developed, and now he's got to worry about knight f4. Okay. Castle's good move. Castle's okay. Rook ac8, good move. Queen e2. Now it is time to bring him home. He needs to come home. He did his job. He's time to come home. So now knight e5 would be a good move for him. Okay. Now knight e5 is still a good move for him. Okay, there it comes. King g2. King g2 is actually he's playing it too fast, but it's a promising, he might be able to understand what's going on. We're about to find out. You say, I don't know what to do here. Okay. Rook c7, by the way, is not poor. A standard idea in this kind of position is to go for a minority attack. And that just means we have less pawns on the queen side, so we're in the minority. But if we got this b4, we'd isolate this pawn. We'd also open up some lines. White, on the other hand, wants to build some kind of mating attack against your king. I don't know if they're going to understand how to do that. That's another question. Queen f3, I'm not sure. I liked maybe g4 and f4 and g4, h4 to play for, to play for this whole business. Don't get it. Don't ever do that. Don't do that at the dojo. Play b5. Uh-oh. Now you're taunting him. That's no good. Now he's just trading things off. He just doubled his pawns. Now you played rook c7. That's fine. g6 is also on the table. Good move by your opponent. That's a cheap threat. King f3. So notice what you did with your knight there is you really undeveloped the knight. All right. Now, white's a little bit better here. Better king, better rooks. Should he be playing rook e7? Probably. Yeah, it looks like a good move. Now he's much better. Good move. King f8, good move. Now, we're at a very delicate stage of the game here. Can you push his rook out? Probably not. Personally, I like h4 for white just because I want to keep my bishop on these coconuts. Actually, his move too. What are we saying? We're just toast. That happened so fast. Oh no. His move was better than mine, by the way. So let's talk. We're here in this position. We're probably toast. You know, we're probably toast. I think knight e8 is interesting. You should at least try this move because now you could do this. We have a book from more advanced cohort called 45 Methods to Mess with Your Opponent. And this is one of the methods here, to put the knight on d6 in a Carlsbad structure. Okay, so that was rough. That was rough. I want to say, though, that one of the things that you hinted at is that you found difficult to take advantage of your opponents. And think about that course and what we learned from it. They're going to give you time, right? And you likewise are giving them time. You're giving them time. Don't give anybody time. And notice, too, you're obsessed about the pin. The pin's not going to kill you anytime soon. You're doing fine. Okay, let's continue. Next up, we have pawns are tricky. Doesn't tell us anything. Dojo 1.0. He might just be here for the graduations. He might just be, maybe he makes it that he's in the wrong cohort too here, bud. His ChessCom is too old for this. Nothing. So first of all, probably you're in the wrong cohort. But what I would recommend is do some work, analyze a game or two, graduate. All right, go back, Kraai. Next up, we have Keith C. Love the program. It's great to have the guidance. The Polgar mates are making a difference. There's been one or two moments where it felt like the mate in two switch was turned on. The clarity was great. All right, beautiful. Randy Balin says in the YouTube chat, just established a membership. Hello. Fantastic. Hello to you too. All right, here we go. Keith C. Let's go give him a look. Built improver, father to my lovely 6-year-old daughter, Lenore. Yeah, my kids don't like chess either, but formal theatrical lighting guy. Backwoods timber frame carpenter by day. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, let's give him a follow. So, joined recently, has been slaying it every day, especially with the tactics. Okay, looking good. He's got an amazing tactics rating. Look at that bad boy over there. So I think Keith is going to be graduating again soon. So, New England. Yeah, if you're going to be a carpenter, probably time to be up in New England. Okay, games. All right. So, Kies Phasmatis is the name. This is a 90-30. I want to congratulate you on that. Let's go click this thing. This was a battle. Okay, beautiful. Now it's rated on Lee Chess. Let's see if we had a clocks. Oh, look at that. So the first thing we want to praise is this looks, at least the first part of it, looks like a GM level game. I mean, people are thinking. Very impressive use of time. Then later, maybe they stopped thinking. They're using, you can see with the upturn there, they got a 30-second increment, so they are using less than 30 seconds a move as we get later on into the game. We might criticize him there. He says he needs to work on endgames. The thinking in the endgame, both of you guys needed to do. Oh, again, though, from what I see with the first part of the graph, that looks great. All right, here we go. Fine, fine, fine. D5. And I'm breaking principles by moving too many pawns. And knight f6 here, yeah, fine move. One thing to appreciate on knight f6 is if bishop g5, I get it that it looks kind of scary, but you can just play h6. Because, see, he can't really go back, because then you'll smack him and win the pawn. So he's got to take, and then your queen gets out. And actually, you have this in your notes. Good. So d5, and now what would worry me here is that e5 by white looks to me like a good French. Now castles looks good. Also his move looks fine. Okay. That looks threatening. That looks threatening. So let's just talk. We have a French structure here. White's pawns are pointing towards the king side. That's where he's got space. That's where he wants to attack. Your pawns are pointing this way. So we would like to get some kind of something on the queen side. It's not going to happen for us anytime soon. We have a bad bishop. Okay. Knight g5 is a good move, not only to mess with you on these kinds of squares, but to introduce the lady. It's the lady who really wants to come in here because she's the most powerful piece. So queen h5 next. Now, does white play queen h5? That's what they should do. Good move. Castles. In general, I think you're toast here. It's just too much power that he's got going on you. Now, he castles. And my question would be, does knight h7 kill you? So go like this. Knight h7. Rook e8. Takes the coconut. Now, we're just starting. The idea would be that on pawn takes, queen takes, this little threat would be too much to handle. We're not done yet, though. g6 maybe. Let's put the queen here first. Takes. Now, do I have a move? Boom. I might have this move. We're not done yet. On king g8, we have to worry about queen h6 followed by bishop f6. King g7, here, here. Now, it's really hot. Because, see, if I go bishop f6, it looks like I'm winning. But I got to deal with this kind of thing. Holy moly, and I'm just saving my skin. Whew! In any case, this would be something to analyze. And analyzing something like this is amazing for your chess skill. Yeah. So he castles. And you said knight f5. Makes some sense. Knight f3. Sad. The bummer for Mr. White here is, I guess, if g4 happens, maybe g6 in response. White's still doing great, though. Queen h3. And here we've really weakened our business. So, like, this guy isn't in. None of the things. So bishop g5 looks strong. g4 looks strong. He comes back. Relentless. Queen e7. g4 looks strong. Rook e1. g4 looks kind of like the end of the world, honestly. Right? Yeah, looks critical. Now, one of the things you can see about this, though, is this is what happens when your opponent, comes after you in a French where you're not giving him any business in either the center or the wing to distract him from mating you. Good. Now he finds it. Okay, good move. And now bishop e2. Good moves, by the way. Bishop g4. That's pretty hot. Rook h8. And now queen f1 was played. I don't understand queen f1. Now, first of all, we want to give you props for surviving as long as you did. And I should say that on g4, you could still do this knight g7 thing. And the simple, I don't want to call anything simple, but this looks strong. And he could have done it here too. He could have played bishop e2 here. So this was a very clever thing you did with king g7. That's like resourcefulness. That's well done. Okay, so boom. No one understands queen f1. Good move. Okay, look, you're doing things. Good move. No, it's not a good move. This is when I started to counterattack, but I did not have enough pieces on the king side to follow up. Okay, now let's just go back a second. One of the sad things is, because we've made these weaknesses in front of our king, despite the fact that white's playing kind of uninspired, he's still got a lot of coconuts on us. You know what I'm saying? So it's still rough. It's still rough. Maybe the best way to do things here would be to think about king g7 and knight g7. Bringing this knight back, opening up our rook. Knight h3 is weird, but I get it. Notice the knight was kind of cool what you're doing, but he's going to come here. And now I think you need to go back. You need to go back. Get back. Uh-oh. We're hanging our coconuts. There, that's no good. With the queens off the board, the endgame officially begins, but what a complicated one it is. You should be toast here. I don't know if I get that. Okay. Okay. Poor. Really bad to give up his beautiful bishop. Okay. Okay. The last couple of moves he played well. And now we get the full trade out. C4. Okay, so at a higher level, we would call this lost. This guy, though, he might give you some chances. Good move. Bishop e8. I thought you were going to play bishop a4. That wasn't it. And here I learned that I need to work on my endgames. Now, I want to stress something. This is move 45. And look, we go back here, right? Time graph. You have plenty of time at this point, right? Plenty of time. And the thing to really say is a great rule of thumb is this pertains to whatever level you are on. The most concrete phase of the game is the pawn endgame. So if you're looking at a rook endgame, it's possible oftentimes to judge it at a glance. Pawn endgame, it's going to take a momentito. It's going to take a momentito. And the other thing is, I don't think white's figured out how to crush you here. My initial sense was that this was winning. I still kind of believe that. But he hasn't figured it out yet. I think the winning procedure would be something like, let's say you sit here, here. And if bishop g8, we're going to call that an accomplishment. It's not over yet. It's not over yet, though. Okay, bishop e6. So what we're just trying to say is you might be in trouble anyway, and it would have been good. You did kind of analyze it a little bit. Let's see if white figured it out. He plays f5. Very strong. b5, h5. Yeah, this is called the outside pass pawn. Okay, he mocked you up. Well, you learned something. That was good. That was good. So, well done. And I think you also learned a little bit about the structure, right? About the structure, the pawn endgame. A lot of things were going on here. Okay, well done. Let's see if anybody's yelling at me in the other one. No. So, all right. I think we're on to John P. John P over here. Boom. Here's John P. Graduated before. 1435. Technically could graduate again. Graduated numerous times, but hasn't been, I don't know, very little is being written down here. Do we got games? No. John P. But on this particular day, I am thankful because it's been a long show, but you got to do some games, Mouse. Next up, we got Jaden. $13.09, looking good. And doing some little bit of work here. Hasn't done any tactics evaluations. Let's see, we got some clubs. Okay, games. Nothing. Jaden, bows. You're clearly doing great. Your rating's going up. Maybe it's still easy for you. At some point it'll be hard, and that's when you want to use this heat map, use the program, annotate some games. All right. Next up, we got a famous graduate, and his name is Jamie. After a long time, I've been in the program from the beginning, and a lot of work. I got a lucky streak of results OTB, and the graduation button went green. It's been hard these years to see so many people graduating easily while I was stuck in my cohort or below. My impression is that I selected the wrong cohort in the beginning. Still not sure if I belong to the next cohort, but numbers say it and I'll accept it. Best of the program so far for me has been the philosophy of compulsory annotation. This is now a second nature to me and a very important tool for improvement. Need to spar more because I have the impression that I'm not taking advantage of this side of the program. Also very good is the community. Sharing our way with a lot of people who want to improve and are interested in this is amazing. Special thanks to the senseis and some dojoers like Laurent, always a helping hand, Hesse RP, we enjoyed a lot going through our games, Benwick, my partner in endgame sparring, Midnight Zero, Pheno Chess, Cole Thompson, and many more. Sorry for the extension. Interested in the review of my last annotated game against another dojo member, Barnstorm. Oh, beautiful. JB, this is really cool, man. Let's go give your profile a click. So, as you can see, JB's doing a lot. He's done a lot of tactics. He's done a lot of stuff. Maybe a little too much tactics, but in any case. Got this amazing FIDE thing going on here. All right. Now, he's confused maybe about the cohort, and, you know, the tactics, the FIDE rating, he got a boost last year like everybody did, or everybody below 1,000 did. And so it's true that it might be confusing to Jamie in the sense that this ChessCom is still at 1285. I would say if you are confused about it, there's probably a national rating. I don't know where you're from, but a national rating where you could also get a sense of where you are, because the FIDE ratings at this level are a little bit hokey. Check out that podcast with Ken Regan. We're talking about the disturbances. He had a better word for it. He had a statistician's word. Okay, so clubs. 50 plus, he's in the Spanish dojo. Okay, so maybe he's in Spain. Graduate English and Spanish philology. Great. Okay, so we want a game with Barnstorm. That's the one we're going to do. And I'm going to take a quick pause here, so we're going to go. I'll be right back.
Welcome. Dojo.
Check out Joe, he's a Reddit bro, likes to edit posts, and he starts to gloat when he gets the most of votes or likes. Yeah, he's really hyped, really psyched, cause the crowd is really tight and the work is really light. His training plan is the first thing your eyes see, cause he got more follows than my boy Aragaisi. Opinions on Magnus, Hans, and Karyakin, who cheated who, which engine
That
did he
ain't
hacking.
Mouse.
He got blocked by Short, ignored by Dvork, but he can't be wrong. He scored a like from Truon. He's got lightning attacks on GM blunders and gaffes, true not over the board. It's only the other chat. Still his 7-year plan ensures the last laugh. Distractions detract from any actual actions. Excuses are useless. He rues his inaction. Awaits satisfaction. The status of Magnus. He bought 50 books and opened up 10. Fools ought to read Psalms, not my system. He's got 30 alt accounts on every site
Game
around.
review. So first of all, we got this beautiful time graph. Take a look. And Jamie, you know, we'll see what happened at move 22, but it looked like he kind of stopped thinking there, especially moves 22 or so to 40. We'll have to take a look at what that was. So this is Grand Swiss Classic, round 5 against a Dojoer. Nice. Okay, let's go take a look. So game review. Good. A little weird. There's a variety of ways to play against this. DE and knight f6 looks the most natural to me. Okay. Fine. A3. Little funky, right? I like your intuitive response. CD, F6. Okay, here we go. Now, knight f4 would definitely be spicy. You're right. I was scared of this, but I didn't understand that this was no good because there was a small difference with the position I have on the open book recommended by the dojo. Now, I think what he means is there's a similar position in a different variation where knight d4 here after knight f4 is played. So knight f4, knight d4. And we get this whole madness. Yeah. Arriving to a similar position to what we have in our book against the Taraj, but this seems better for black because white has lost a tempo with a3 and his knight is still on b1. Great. Well said. Absolutely true. So f6. Now he goes f4. I don't believe in this. And you played bishop e7. And on fe5, you said, my impression during the game is that this was bad for black. And you say, I didn't like this position. My knight on d7 is a problem, and castling short is forbidden. You know, a lot of times in this position, we have this dirty trick here at knight d4. But here it doesn't work. Because he's got this bad boy at the end. So, excuse me. So bishop e7, good. f5. I guess I want you to castle. You can play f5 later, okay? Now this f5 move, you could have done it in one move, obviously. And you're right, this must be a mistake, but I don't see an alternative. So yeah, if queen c2, you could play, you don't have to play f5. You could play h6 too, but f5 makes a lot of sense. And the queen doesn't really belong on the c file where it's going to get whacked. All right, I have suffered through many positions like this in my chess career. Not sure that's necessary, a6. Okay. I don't like the way white's playing this. White should be organizing g4. Good move. He's messing around. Castle's good. I don't understand. Bishop b7. Dreaming of the opening of the center now with knight c4, dc4. But this was not clear, and white was helping me in getting this. So probably better was develop the light square bishop to d7. Okay. Now, by the way, you have a romantic idea with bishop b7, and it's true that your opponent probably doesn't have to allow you to do it. But I don't think bishop b7 is a bad move. I think bishop d7, honestly, is okay, too. Let's give your move a try. Rook h3. I don't believe in this. Because you can play g6 at any point. White needs to get g4 arranged. It's not easy to arrange it. And now you go knight c4. Okay, now I do have questions about this. Queen, bishop c4, this was my question here, and d5. And this was very confusing to me. Now, if he takes with the queen, I don't care. Oh, I'm not scared about that. But could he take with a knight? That would be the one I'd be like, I don't know about. I'm a little frightened of it. Right? Because we can't do any of this fancy stuff because, we can't do any fancy stuff because he's on knight e7. Anyways, that's what would have been scared me. Queen f1 doesn't scare me. I don't even understand queen f1. Now, a typical idea here that you could have used. Let's just read what you write first on queen e8. Better there was my light square bishop, but at least I was transferring. Oh, he means that it would have been better to put his light square bishop on e8. Again, I think bishop b7 was okay. Let me turn you on to an idea here that I think would have been powerful. You're playing a French, okay? You need to create drama on your side of the board, right? Okay, so there's two moves here that look interesting to me. Queen b6 or a5. Basically, I want you to play both of them. I think queen b6 will probably occasion queen f2. In any case, a5, it's unnatural at first because it looks like you're hanging this pawn. But the point is, you want to create drama over there on your side of the board. And it will get messy, but think about it. This rook is out of play. We are the ones who can, we're the ones who want to open things up on the queen side. A simple way of talking about it, too, for the French player is like, anytime you can open stuff up on your side of the board, you should. In a similar way, your opponent should have been thinking about arranging g4. Would it have been complicated and messy? Yes, but that's his side of the board. He's got to do it, bud. Right? Okay. All right, queen e8, queen f3, queen f7, g4, finally, g6, g5, horrendous move, horrendous. Yeah. Okay, now his rook makes no sense. And here we definitely want to start thinking about arranging a5. King g7, I don't like it. You say, yes, simply preparing rook a8. You don't know. No, we don't need the rook over there, buddy. We need over here, buddy. We need to open the coconuts. Open sesame coconuts, Probably here first, and then a5. All right. Now, he's terrified, too, of your h6 thing. Oh, no. We're obsessed. Oh, we're just simply obsessed over here. Both sides are obsessed. Just a pure obsession about getting h6 in. Why didn't he do that? What is he doing? Yeah, I don't know. All right, no. So now he makes the big commitment, let's call it. And you took back BC. DC, you say D5. And just the move I would want to have us think about here is knight. Wait a second. Wait, I want to just go back a second. I just got to understand something. What are we doing? What are we doing? What is this h6 move? Gh6. Probably okay for white, but it's not ready to take advantage of black's lack of coordination. So I just want you to see this whole thing where you're playing on his side of the board. It didn't help you. It didn't help you. All right. So now the thing I wanted to talk about is, as a French player, you should try to make it work even if you are going to lose a pawn. So, for example, d5, knight e7. Is it complicated? Yes. But you see, our bishop is now a beast. I mean, it's just a very angry man. Very angry man. Okay, here we go. A lot of these moves I don't understand. Check to the miserable king. Knight e7. You say queen h3 is also playable. Okay. So, intuitively, we should say white's better here. He plays rook h1. I think knight a4 looks reasonable to play knight c5. Interesting. Notice what happened. He let your rook in. And something terrible here. Putting my rook in a very inactive square. Great. I'm happy that you screamed it. The philology people call that screaming, when you put something in all caps. But unless you thought you were getting trapped there, which I don't see how you're getting trapped. I mean, maybe we have to worry about it a little bit, but in general, we should know we're not getting trapped. Of course, rook d3. And not only that, but he invited you in. He invited you in. I would say, JB, that this is the one, of all the mistakes I criticized, this is the one to, well, two things. The thing about the French structure, because you are going to have that again, but then maybe even more so this one. This one is a real screamer. Now, I want to stress something here. You had a lot of time here, JB. Now let's go back. So I want you to just see this. We're at move 38 here, and you have plenty of time, and here you're just making impulsive moves. And so here too, you're to 23 seconds. You get 30 seconds extra a move, and you're not even using that, okay? Again, what this suggests is that you're cooked, right? You don't have any energy left. All right. Good move. Good move. And now we got some real trouble because our pieces are all discoordinated and he might be able to break us open. A5. This is the most ambitious move. I would say maybe it's a mistake, but it looks very ambitious because he wants to play B5. He could play B5, as you note, but then that allows A5. And maybe you're going to do that to him. I like his move. You try to stop it, knight A4, good move. Knight C5, thank you very much. And now knight C3, good move. Knight E7. All right, critical position for him. He plays knight takes, which looks too early. Like knight B7. Well, maybe it's similar. Okay, so wait. Did he have a win? So the bad news for black is we're not really threatening anything. And if we go... maybe you're in time. This might be a good move. If you take, we claim that you can't fix your pawn over here. And if you, let's say here, then we're going to come in and we're going to threaten things like this. In any case, he does it this way. Good. Good. Now you might be okay. And he traded off your bad bishop. I don't think he knew that he traded off your bad bishop. I don't think he's doing anything over there. That's risky. That wasn't it. Great move. Great move. I don't know where he's going. Ah, there it is. What's cool about this is earlier we had the rook there. You had the chance to come in, and now you're coming back for it. Oh, I don't know. Did we need to take that thing? Maybe it's fine. It scares me. That isn't it. Okay, beautiful. So I think that stuff about the French and the rook d3. I also think it would have been beneficial for you to do a little bit more trying to figure out how white might have tried to crack you. Because it was a very interesting position as an endgame, right? Change the scene! Oh no, I did it again. Sorry, guys. Boomer streamer. I'm in the zone. I said so many valuable things, too. for Jamie. So many valuable things. He could probably reconstruct most of it, but still. My friends, this is one of the reasons I try to do 2 graduate shows, because if I do more than, if I do too many, it just at a certain point I just, it gets bored. Now, was I doing it the whole game? Did I do it the whole game, buddy? And how come, wait, I'm looking, there we go. Alex Gustafsson said I did it the whole game. How come nobody, you're supposed to, well, he highlighted the message. You're supposed to do a thing where it says something to me, After move 22. Oh, yeah, it wasn't the whole game. It wasn't that bad, you guys. But there's a thing, I don't know how to do it myself, but there's a thing where you pay like $1 and you yell at me. That's what needs to happen. Okay, just, give me a nice little screen. Because that highlighted thing, I'm not necessarily, I'm in the zone, but that was an interesting end game. You gonna see that? Chess Dojo here. What does that mean? Submarine Mike did, but it didn't yell at me. Okay. So let's go back. Sorry about that. My bad. We'll mark that as reviewed. Boom. Couple more, then we'll be done. I'm going to switch the scene. Thank you very much. TKR. A lot of these higher rated players are too proud to submit games, so who knows? Like this guy. Might be too proud. Clubs. Well, he's a 50 plus. This guy's all over it. Games. No, that's what I'm saying. Too proud. Too proud to submit a game. It hasn't done anything. But just joined. And we're happy to have you here, TKR. Submarine Mike, what's the boo? What's the boo? What do you want me to do? Tell me. Give me instructions. Now we got Corrosive Scarab. I'm back. I had a very bad day and slid almost 150 elo, so I demoted myself for a week. Took a couple days, mentally reset, got back to using my time effectively, and I'm back in the 1718. Started to feel more and more how important classical games are now. They just give me a chance to dive really deep on a game, which helps me see so much more in positions I think I know. Submarine Mike, thank you for subscribing. I've joined the Classical Open to get some of these quality games in. Silman is still an incredible resource, and almost done with Reassess Your Chess. Beautiful. All right, let's go click on Corrosive Scarab. Actor with a love of labor-intensive games, and here we are. Crushing. You can see that blue there is the Reassess Your Chess, I'm pretty sure. He's been cranking on it, has got a lot of tactics. Beautiful graph. Look at that. Beautiful graph. And look at that tactics rating, dude. Dang, I look, he slayed a test is what happened. Yeah, not submitting game. I'm telling you, sometimes I wrote about it in the book we published, How to Analyze Your Games, that for a lot of players who have spent a lot of time in chess, studied a lot, it's so close to their identity that the process, if they haven't begun it, of analyzing their games is just too hard. It's just too hard. And that's what they need to do, but it's just so hard of a roadblock for them to look at their games. Whereas a lot of players, they just start and they're just like, sure, yeah, I can look at my games. I don't have my huge ego attached to it, It was one of the lessons of the dojo experience. All right, clubs. New York City, beautiful. Games, we got loads. All right, this is Aaron Goner. This was played fairly recently. Okay, typical French ideas. We got a time graph, and we're going to say it looks pretty good. 130 plus 30. So you can see when you go up the scale here, the ladder, we get better and better time graphs. This one, though, it looks like either the position was something funny about the position or they just went full impulsive. And we've seen this. at a variety of levels. We'll see how true that assessment is when we look at the game. The time graph, of course, is just one part of the story. All right. So here we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Bishop E2. Normally I play the dojo suggestion where you play bishop D3, queen E2. But this day I decided to play more solidly. So one of the things that I worked out in the file, that's also a Chessable course, is the fancy move DC. It's a nice move, dude. It's a nice move. And it goes like this. And we get this wild position. Strategically, the point is to drive the knight away from the fight for the e5 square. Is it hot? It's very hot. All right, but bishop e2, this is the old move. Knight e7. Okay, here we go. Knight a3. Okay, I think that's going to be okay. And then they're confused. They don't need this a6 move. Knight c2, fine. Okay. I would say that this position is the challenging one for black because basically the old school idea of the French applies here, which is that you want to consolidate the d4 square and then mate him. And so that's what you're doing. And it's not easy for black to go about his business. However, the knight on c2 is obviously a weird kind of animal, right? Okay, knight f5. So, you talk about bishop g5, bishop d2. Now, I think your move is probably going to be okay. However, I'll mention that a3, intending b4, looks natural to me. Let's give your move a try. Bishop d2. I would say queen b6 is my main question. I'm assuming your intention was bishop c3. And then just from his perspective, I would be interested in trying to trade off a coconut over here. If I was black, that's what I would be interested in. Okay. Rook c1. Adding some beef to the c file since the only open file on the board, also trying to stay flexible. Okay. Rook c1, I don't really want to do it because I don't really even want to trade the rooks. I'm pretty sure, moves that I want to consider here are bishop d3 and b4. The problem with b4 is I'm not sure what's going on after this, though. That's where it gets a little loopy for me. We could probably, actually, this would be a strong move now. Boom. Is that strong, right? Yeah, because anytime they take, we take once this way, and then we pin and win. And then we're just assuming that they can't take there. I feel pretty good that they can't. Now, want to stress, this knight c2 stuff, this idea was around before the computer, but what the computer's real nasty at in positions like this is it wants to play for space. And so the idea of b4 is really like to shut, it's very advanced really, because the idea is to shut down the play on the queen side for black. So in the same way you're consolidating d4, the idea of b4 is to shut down the play and then mate him. So it's like consolidate d4, shut down the play, and then mate him. You know, oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Rook c1, h5. Not a huge fan. I understand that he thinks he is preventing g4 that kicks his knight, but this feels like it really weakens the king side. Agree. You play h3. I think bishop d3 makes a lot of sense. probably poor. Yeah. So, you got a lot of good moves here. EF. I'm not sure about bishop c3. Because can he take now and maybe live? Ooh, that's not it. So the question for me on bishop c3 is, couldn't he have done that? And then how do we evaluate that position? Whereas, if you had taken it and played here, I don't see how dude is never going to be safe. You know, we're going to play bishop d3 someday, rook e1, queen e2. We're going to kill him. Look at this, full of holes. Full of holes. Whereas fe5, maybe he lives because he's going to... It's still funky. It's got to be said. But I'm just saying here, maybe he could live. King f8. Knight e3 is an interesting move. That isn't it. Boom, boom, boom. Good move. That's sad. Good move. Good move. Oh, that's where we really say check to the miserable king. Dang, this is terrible. This is god-awful. Look what you did to him. Okay, we're going to stop here. That was a great game. That was a great game. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful stuff. That was great. So that was Corrosive Scarab. He's graduated a bunch of times. He's crushing. That's great, man. That's really inspiring. And you can see he did the work too. All right, we got one more. Maybe NYC Golden Dragon doesn't have anything for us. We're about to find out. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot. Joined May of last year. We'll give him a follow. 2012 USCF. Okay, at least the FIDE and the USCF are close there. And do we have clubs? Agard's Army. Do we got games? Nothing. That was my suspicion. So, Golden Dragon, thank you for joining the dojo. Let's see some stuff, buddy. Let's see some games and some work, and you will make it.